From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Joey Carrera. Thanks for joining us. Tonight we highlight some of our top stories on the sustainability beat. Stories about protecting the environment and creating new energy opportunities for our state.
For those looking for a culinary adventure this Thanksgiving, deep frying the turkey is a new tradition. But don't just pour out that used cooking oil, recycle it. Cronkite News reporter Natalie Tarangioli shows us the process that can protect your pipes.
If you're cooking on Thanksgiving, the city of Mesa says don't pour that frying oil down the drain.
Drop your oil off here. It's that easy. You don't have to talk to anyone or anything.
There are 4 fire stations that recycle oil year-round. Turkeys take a lot of oil to cook, and they want to make sure the oil is disposed of properly.
Especially in large amounts down the drain can cause a really big and nasty problem, something that you don't want to deal with on the Thanksgiving holiday for sure.
Their partnership with Baker Commodities Incorporated recycles that oil into livestock feed and biodiesel.
We'd rather that you recycle it and we can make useful products out of it.
Fire stations 204, 205, 212, and 214 have collection barrels. They expect 700 gallons during the holiday season. Whether you live in Mesa or not, you can come down to one of the stations that offer this service, open the container, pour your oil in, and get on with your day. Recycling the oil is completely free and saves you from calling a plumber. In Mesa, Natalie Tarangioli, Cronkite News.
South Mountain Park is receiving a makeover to the tune of $23 million. Cronkite News reporter Caitlin Greno tells us what's to come in the upgrade.
The project is meant to improve visitor experience by renovating and building facilities like new ramadas and restrooms at the park.
I think more people would be wanting to come out and hike and experience it, and more people might feel safe and attracted if it was kept up a little better.
Phoenix resident Leslie Bondi's feet know these trails. She's been hiking South Mountain for 12 years. And Phoenix's Vice Mayor Kate Gallego agrees with Bondi's assessment. It's time the park got some well-deserved care.
The plan was developed in consultation with community stakeholders, and it's a very comprehensive plan that includes upgrades to parking facilities, the ramadas that create shade for events and picnics, better trails, a great new trailhead and monument that will help mark the entry to South Mountain Park.
Supporters of South Mountain Park believe the upgrade is overdue.
Personally, I like it. Professionally, I love it. Personally, because the government wastes so much money that I think that anytime they invest it in infrastructure, especially recreational opportunities for citizens, it's a great thing. Professionally, I love it. The amenities at South Mountain have needed some refreshing for quite a while.
The improvements will be completed in time for the park's 100th birthday.
We will have a large celebration for the 100th anniversary and really mark the unique history of South Mountain Park. It has a great story and has played an important role in so many Phoenicians' lives.
Bondi is one of those impacted by the park and thinks visitors will appreciate the makeover.
I don't know where else in the Southwest you get these beautiful mountains and our climate is perfect.
The renovations start next year and will take up to 5 years to complete, just in time for the 100th celebration in 2024. Live in downtown Phoenix, Caitlin Greno, Cronkite News.
Farms in Arizona are shrinking. According to the USDA Census of Agriculture, Arizona farmland has steadily declined for the past 20 years. As Allison Hoskins reports, the allure of money from selling or just the struggle to keep the farm going are causing farmers to decide sell off parts of their land or shut down completely.
The Kerr family has been farming in Arizona since the 1940s. They started near Tempe, but as the city began to develop, they moved across the valley to the more rural Buckeye. Over the years, they've shut down 2 of their 4 farms.
I was at the stage where farming and my dairy either needed to grow or get out. And it was to the point that I was just ready to get out.
David Kerr says Phoenix used to have some of the most fertile farmland, but developments have forced farms to relocate to the edges of the valley.
Trouble is, we're being pushed out into areas where water is actually a shortage. The farm ground's not as good. It's desert land that's being converted into farms.
According to the Arizona Farm Bureau, most farms in Maricopa County are less than 10 acres, but dairy is still Arizona's leading agricultural product. One Kerr farmer says smaller can be better.
When you look at the data, back in 1940, in the United States, there was 26 million dairy cows. Today, there's less than 9 million dairy cows. And with those 9 million dairy cows, we're producing more than twice the amount of milk that they had with 26 million dairy cows.
Wes Kerr, David's nephew, said there are many reasons for better efficiency.
The combination between better feed, better animals, better genetics, and then the environment that we get to keep the animals in. With all that efficiency, we need less cows to produce more milk.
Jerry Kerr sold his dairy and now works for the Department of Agriculture. He's also seen decrease in land and crops from Casa Grande to the Colorado River.
Oh, it's definitely decreased. When I started with the organization I'm with now, there were almost 300,000 acres of cotton. This year I had 43,000.
While farmland is shrinking, farming is a lifestyle that's hard to leave.
Hey, you talk to any farmer and he would probably tell you the same things I'm telling you. It's just a matter of fact type thing. I don't know anything else and don't want to.
A local stylist is partnering with an international environmental group to send your discarded trimmings to another country. Cronkite News reporter David Caltabiano is going to tell us why your recycled hair may be headed to Canada.
They're called Green Circle Salons, a Canadian-based company that have partnered with hundreds of salons in North America, including Ellsworth Street Social Club in Phoenix. Their goal, to receive as much discarded hair as possible to clean up with oil spills around the world. Ellsworth Street Social Club, just like any other haircut place, customers come in for a shave, buzz, or trim. But unlike some other shops, here, where your hair goes after the haircut is just as important as what happens during the haircut.
Coming into the industry and understanding how much waste that we make as stylists, we really wanted to do something that would allow us to reduce our eco imprint.
An eco imprint that can be reduced by the hair that is swept off of the floor after your cut.
Green Circle Salons came along and they had the ideal of repurposing the hair into booms to clean up oil spills.
Reynolds, with the help of Green Circle Salons, decided to do something differently with the discarded hair. Instead of throwing it away, he stores it in this bin that will eventually be shipped to Green Circle Salon in Canada, a process that has clients like David Soto excited.
I'm all for it. If there's any way that they can help out with natural disasters, especially man-made natural disasters, I'm in support of it.
The hair is used to soak up oil spills. As seen in this video, the orange boom on the left containing only hair soaks up this oil almost immediately. The Green Circle Salons company has partnered up with hundreds of other salons internationally, but here in Arizona, Reynolds and Ellsworth Street Social Club continue to please customers as well as going green. Green Circle Salon mission statement shows that they want to have the North American beauty industry go sustainable by year 2020. Live in downtown Phoenix, David Caltabiano, Cronkite News.
The U.S. Department of Defense is making strides in sustainability here in the desert, using the sun to power more than a dozen of their bases. Reporter David Caltabiano went to Tonopah in western Arizona for the big announcement.
The U.S. Navy and Marine Corps are celebrating their new partnership with an Arizona solar company. It's the biggest purchase ever for clean energy by the United States government.
3, 2, 1, lights on.
A symbolic flip of the switch marks the start of a 25-year contract between the Department of Defense and Sempra U.S. Power and Gas. The largest federal purchase of clean energy comes with one of the largest solar facilities in the country, located right here in Tonopah.
Why the heck would we ever consider putting a solar farm here? I mean, there's nothing but wide open spaces and sun every day.
And in one of those open spaces, a solar farm called Mesquite Solar 3. Construction started last year.
Mesquite Solar 3 has created nearly 700 local construction jobs, infused hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Arizona community.
But job creation wasn't the primary motive. The partnership will supply up to 1/3 of the energy required to power 14 military bases in California. The plan has top-ranking military officials excited.
This is a great partnership with Sempra, the producer of the solar farm, but also with the Western Area Power Administration. It's been a very, very great team effort, and this is a significant milestone.
The Western Area Power Administration, known as WAPA, helped make the initial connection, pairing Sempra with the Department of Defense.
WAPA provides energy services like purchasing power for our customers, including the Navy. We help these organizations to meet their energy needs.
And now, Mesquite 3 is sending 150 megawatts of solar energy, enough to power 69,000 homes, to U.S. military bases across the desert. And even though Sempra tells me the details of the financial agreement are confidential, there are no tax dollars being used. I'm told the project is being financed by investors and third-party companies. In the broadcast center, David Coltibiano, Cronkite News.
One way Phoenix is going green is through the Valley's biggest fair of the year. Cronkite News reporter Natalie Tarangeli visited the fair to get a closer look on how they'll use food for fuel.
If you find yourself at the Arizona State Fair this year, chances are you'll indulge in some deep-fried deliciousness. But whether you do or not, the oil that it took to cook that food might be fueling your car. Pigley's Barbecue uses 40 to 50 gallons of oil per day to cook the food they sell at the fair. That's collected and turned into biodiesel.
I believe in recycling.
Instead of going to landfills or clogging drains, the converted oil is an alternative fuel source that burns cleaner than regular gasoline.
Anything that we can recycle to keep from going into our landfills helps us all out.
Pigley's Barbecue will contribute at least 1,000 gallons of that. Biotane Pumping collects about that amount per week. The fair covers 4 weekends, so quite a bit of oil is used.
Average, the past 3 years have been anywhere from about 3,500 to 4,200 gallons. So we're looking at least 3,500 gallons again this year.
All of those delicious fried fair foods should taste even better knowing that the oil they're cooked in isn't going to waste.
I love it. I love it. They're doing a great job. It's great for the community, great for our environment, and job well done.
Last year, over 4,100 gallons were converted.
I figure we use something out of oil.
Last year's oil conversions were the equivalent to taking 108 cars off the road. Live in downtown Phoenix, Natalie Tarangeli, Cronkite News.
One of the United States' biggest imports just became domesticated, rubber, and it's happening right here in the desert. Cronkite News reporter David Caltabiano shows us how.
Yeah, it's called Waiuli, and it could be the next biggest source of natural rubber, which could help local businesses save money. What looks like a field of shrubs
in the daisy family
is actually a domestic form of natural rubber called Waiuli. According to a 2014 study, the United States is only second to China in natural rubber imports, taking in 11% of the total natural rubber available, which brings us to Arizona.
and it does very well in Arizona.
Well might be an understatement, which is why Pan Aridus has patent seeds of Waiuli in Arizona.
All the production that is in the U.S. at this point is in Arizona.
Pan Aridus grows its own Waiuli as well as harvests it for research. That's what this machine does. It takes the Waiuli that was in that field and measures how much rubber is in each crop.
But the rubber is the unseen.
Measurements taken because the rubber is microscopic. Techniques that have CEO Mike Fraley excited about their work.
We're groundbreaking.
Poured, stirred, and strained. And after it's pressed, you get natural rubber, a commodity that's in tires and medical equipment that the U.S. gets overseas.
We import every pound of natural rubber that we consume in this nation.
That same study revealed that the United States imported over $2.1 billion worth of natural rubber. Natural rubber that we usually import from tropical regions from Hevea trees, which Fraley believes could eventually be a problem.
This shortfall is going to have very big implications on the consumer and those that make products from natural rubber. Waiuli and what we're doing at Pan Aridus has the only viable means to start meeting that shortfall, which is imminent.
Pan Aridus has also partnered with Cooper Tires, and they've already tested a tire with Waiuli natural rubber in them. Live in downtown Phoenix, David Coltibiano, Cronkite News.
A controversial project that has been in progress for the past 20 years is hitting stride, but not without some resistance from the public. David Caltabiano joins us live in Scottsdale with a closer look at the debate. David?
Yeah, I'm at the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve in North Scottsdale, one of Arizona's largest preserves, and right in this location is where the Desert Discovery Center is supposed to be built, which has prompted one man to take action.
The thing magical about it is the scenery.
Howard Myers has enjoyed the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve for decades.
I've been hiking here for 20 years, which was before the city even started buying land.
With that land, the city plans to build the Desert Discovery Center.
Preserve is the attraction. That's what brings people here, and putting a building in it will only degrade it, not enhance it.
The preserve is located in North Scottsdale off Thompson Peak Parkway. Right now, the plans are to put the Discovery Center next to the Gateway Trail, the most popular one in the preserve. Myers started a petition to demand residents be allowed to vote on any project on the preserve.
No.
The petition brought protesters to City Hall for the meeting on the issue.
We demand that you pull the plug on this project to legal opinion, and the charter can be modified to explicitly guarantee our right to vote over this project.
But plenty of project supporters also showed up at the city council meeting.
That my great-grandchildren have the same appreciation for the preserve and for the desert that I grew up with. I think the DDC is a great way to move that forward.
The room was packed as the audience waited to hear the council's decision.
This petition has nothing to do with the DDC. I believe its intention is to create obstacles for the DDC.
That motion passes 4-3.
The council voted not to act on the petition. With the denial of a public vote, Scottsdale City Council is expected to move forward with the planning of the Desert Discovery Center. Yeah, and even though the petition was struck down by the Scottsdale City Council, Myers said he will still fight the DDC, either with legal challenge or referendum. Live in Scottsdale, David Caltabiano, Cronkite News.
Up high in the mountains, snow melts, then flows into streams and rivers. Each drop is important to Arizona's water supply. Cronkite News reporter Sarah Lichterman shows us how this system is being used in Flagstaff to track the watershed.
Some years, there's more snowpack and snow melt than others on the north face of Mormon Mountain. And now there's a better way of tracking that using time-lapse photography.
We set the camera to time-lapse increments, and we merely photograph at regular cadences what's happening in the stream.
The City of Flagstaff's partnership with SRP's photography system ensures Flagstaff's water supplies will last well into the future.
The pictures are processed and they are put into digital formats, so every picture has a value.
If we can model these conditions every year with this computer model with good accuracy, then the model is calibrated to modeling known conditions, and then we can use it to extrapolate scenarios or extrapolate, what could happen in the future.
3 years ago, the manager of SRP's water measurement department, Lee Esther, created a system that monitors stream flow using time-lapse cameras that provide visual evidence of overall watershed conditions.
3 years into photography, what I've seen is wet, dry, and in between. I really don't know what it means, but I know what it looks like.
The system in Flagstaff is focused on measuring the Upper Lake Mary watershed that provides over 50% of the water supply to Flagstaff's residents.
Over the years, Upper Lake Mary has turned into quite a turbid water supply. It's real mucky all the time.
Documenting conditions will help Flagstaff adjust their watershed model to forecast water supplies to real-life scenarios.
Traditional methods such as precipitation gauges are still very effective. However, photography helps explain data point inconsistencies by providing photographic evidence.
A controversy over a proposed hotel and tram development in the Grand Canyon is heating up again. Navajo Nation lawmakers will soon discuss the fate of the Grand Canyon Escalade project. Cronkite News reporter Caitlin Greno tells us what happens next.
The proposal is to build a tram and other tourist attractions on the Navajo reservation where the Little Colorado River and the Colorado meet. The Save the Confluence group said the Escalade would harm sacred land.
Our culture, our way of life, it's under threat of a desecration because the developer chose not to listen, chose to tell us that the site where you pray is not a sacred space.
The Confluence partners are developing the Escalade project.
You can have a project that improves the lives of our people and then also retain the beauty of our land.
The Confluence partners say the Grand Canyon Escalade project would bring in about 3,000 jobs and boost economic development for this generation and generations to come.
We have to think 20 years into the future, 60 years, 100 years into the future. How will we be? We have thousands of people who are unemployed who have signed and said, I want this project to come through and I want a job.
Others oppose this project because they believe the natural environment should not be touched.
We don't support it because of the implications of the disturbances that it will create in the natural beauty of the Grand Canyon. How do you compare a few jobs to the destroying of nature, as it were?
Save the Confluence says some things are more important than jobs.
We need jobs, but not at the expense of our culture.
No end yet in sight to this battle over the development at the Grand Canyon. In Phoenix, Caitlin Greno, Cronkite News.
Genetically modified organisms have been at the heart of controversy ever since the mid-90s. Cronkite News reporter David Caltabiano checked out the ground roots to GMOs, as well as the alternatives. David?
Yeah, not only are GMOs in the national spotlight with the most recent GMO labeling bill being signed in early August by President Obama, but here in Arizona, GMOs are being used to their maximum potential to yield the biggest results, which may have some consumers thinking of an alternative.
Breeding block right here of cotton.
The University of Arizona's Makeover Agricultural Center is working with agri-chemical company Monsanto to create genetically modified cotton.
Again, we have BT cotton in here, so there's no caterpillar pests causing problems.
Dr. Peter Ellsworth specializes in integrated pest management and works directly with GMOs.
The very first outdoor planting of a GM cotton plant or crop was planted right here in this demonstration farm, probably no more than a quarter mile from where we're sitting here today.
Ellsworth says the crop was engineered with Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT, a bacteria that fends off predators.
People know them as woolly worms, and they came in and they were devouring the entire cotton crop. But the minute they got to the BT plants in the center of the field, they could no longer damage the crop.
Ellsworth says BT can eliminate the need for pesticides, which has saved farmers millions. The bacteria has also been implemented in other foods.
Some of the same BT genes have been put into corn crops, both corn crops that are used to feed livestock and animals, and as well as in sweet corn.
Although genetically modified crops can eliminate the use of pesticides, 57% of Americans still feel unsafe eating foods with GMOs, according to the Pew Research's study from 2014.
I would think that it's probably more than 50%, 57%.
Drew, along with GMO-free AZ, has made it their goal to educate Arizona on the dangers of GMOs.
So I don't want people to go vote about this. I want people to vote with their dollars. I want them to go to the grocery store and buy appropriate, responsibly produced foods.
You know what this is for me? Pardon? Pesto.
In the midst of uncertainty, there is one man who isn't concerned with food production. That's because Greg Peterson grows his own food on his urban farm.
People really want to know what's in their food.
Peterson believes that's one of the reasons why urban farming is growing.
And if they're raising it themselves, they know that there's no GMOs in it. They know that there's no chemicals or few chemicals, and they know that it's nutrient dense. They know it's good, healthy food.
Peterson also teaches online courses on his website so others can grow food too.
Actually, for the last 27 years, I've been growing food on the property. For the last 20 years, I've been showing people that they can do it themselves.
The urban farm,
What are you seeing?
completed with chickens, has everything a regular farm would have, along with the added benefit of knowing what's in your food. In Phoenix, David Caltabiano, Cronkite News. Mary Ann Drew supports the alternative of urban farming, whereas Dr. Ellsworth supports urban farming but doesn't believe people should be turning down genetically modified food for urban farming. Live in downtown Phoenix, David Caltabiano, Cronkite News.
This time of year, hummingbirds journey thousands of miles to Mexico. Many of them pass through Arizona on their trip to their winter home. Cronkite News reporter Katie Beery went to the San Pedro Valley, where experts give the public an opportunity to get up close and personal with these small birds.
Researchers with the Southeastern Arizona Bird Observatory invite anyone to make the trip to see and touch the birds up close. This way they can learn more about the endangered species as well as track their migration.
Hummingbirds are amazing little birds.
They're smaller than the palm of your hand.
They really have a charisma much larger than their tiny size.
And quick. Faster than a jackal. This time of year, the Southeastern Arizona Bird Observatory studies these hummingbirds and their migration patterns.
They drew us in and we got fascinated with them, and now we've been banding them here on the San Pedro for 21 years.
We will trap some birds.
Volunteers humanely capture these small creatures.
I push this lever all the way up and the net will fall.
And they meticulously place a band around the leg of the hummingbird to track it. People come from all over Arizona for the chance to hold a live hummingbird in their hand. Cool. Emily Tucker and her family drove from Chandler to celebrate her 8th birthday.
It is a tremendous privilege to have an opportunity to be so up close and intimate with these tiny little creatures.
Sherry Williamson, a nationally recognized hummingbird expert, hopes that these visitors feel a connection and a commitment to conservation.
They're brightly colored, they have eyelashes, they become very comfortable in people's hands. And there he goes.
Hummingbirds, being migratory birds, are among the hundreds of species that connect different parts of our world with one another.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.